Here we have a K5 Blazer in its natural habitat. Its steel bumper inches from your plastic unibody commuter.
Christmas time is over, I won't be watching Home Alone. A new review of an OK20, not talking about the phone.
If Jack Kerouac were writing today, he would have called the K5 Blazer a car for angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the machinery of their imagined grandfather. GM introduced the K5 Blazer in 1969, and it continued until 1991, only passing through two generations. Two generations. The first generation was 1969 to 1972. Okay, that's 3 years. A bit short, but not unheard of. Ford likes short generations like that. I mean, the first gen Falcon was 1960 to 1963. But the second generation of the K5 Blazer went from 1973 until 1991. 18 years of the same body. 7 different engine choices, and 1 military spec variant. And of course, transfer cases change slowly with the time. This is a 1990 K5, and it gained anti-lock brakes, but only in the rear. To GM nerds, the K5 Blazer is their Houses of the Holy album, a long-lived opus whose meaning changes as the user or listener ages. Houses of the Holy is a chore to listen to for the first time, and a K5 is a toil to drive at first. There's no continuity. The steering wheel and steering rack are playing on opposite sides of the beat. The transmission is on 4/4 time, but the rear is on 7/8. The dashboard knows it's 1990, but keeps wanting to plug in a talk box because, hey, kids liked the sound last time I checked.
Chassis. Oh, feel free to do a little 180 if you want. That's what it's meant for. That'd be a good place for donuts. I wish you had a different camera.
Well, I wish I had less morals.
Yeah, really wants to get going off the line.
It does. But now, the newfound value of the K5 Blazer is coming from the same speculative group that priced old Land Cruisers higher than an SR-71's flight ceiling. Because the K5 Blazer is one of the most modern cars you can buy that's still all metal.
I want a car that's all metal. I just want a barber in my town, a real barber, not another salon. All these kids just look at their phones all day. My name's Gerald.
K5 Blazer. A covered truck originally built for a man who still calls LGBTQ folks sodomites. Covered trucks. That's what I said. That's what K5 Blazers are. See, these vehicles predate SUV and even the concept of. This is a truck for musty smells and mustier men. Oh, it's had the same body for 18 years? Yeah, well, so is Dad. So you can stop getting him a gym membership or Christmas every year. The card is just taking up room in his wallet next to the Subway punch card that will forever be 4 sandwiches away from a free footlong. And the iPhone you got him is still in his sock drawer. Turned off. K5 Blazer. A car for a man who still has a flip phone because he requires that tactile feel of a good button push, especially if it's an angry dial. It's 1990 in this truck, and Time Magazine's Man of the Year is George H.W. Bush. HTTP and HTML are created. Stevie Ray Vaughan dies in a plane crash, while pneumonia takes Jim Henson. And the first crash between 2 cars fitted with airbags occurred this year. Both cars were 1989 Chrysler LeBarons. This truck currently has the Ramjet 350, which is a port fuel injection version of the Chevy small block, and it needs 93 octane. Now, this K5 originally had a regular 350, which I think was TBI injection. That engine was good for about 210 horsepower, but a Ramjet gets you 350. The K5s are known for the back of the truck being removable. Heck, even the first generation, the entire top came off. This one, the rear cap comes off, which is all well and good, except now you have to get a friend to help with the removal, and then the thing is just sitting there on your lawn or in your garage like a freeloading cousin. And if you have kids, you've pretty much left behind an object with the imaginative power of a cardboard box. There are vent windows in the front and a rear window that rolls down in the back. a front rack that is 3 inches wider than the factory rear axle, and tailpipe tips from a Cadillac DTS. A different transfer case, which means the speedometer doesn't really work, and this is now a 2-wheel drive truck due to different ratios in the front and the back. The spool is locked, and both tires will just spin in the mud, which is what happened to the original story of as Dominic was driving to this meet, he had a blowout and couldn't get the truck out of the ditch because he just has 2 tires and just dug himself 2 trenches trying to, muscle his way out of this thing. It's just another life in the day of a K5. K5s are the Fox bodies of trucks because the parts are so cheap they can easily do anything you want to this truck. Make it a mud truck, slam streetcar, make it keep it as is and hope it somehow gets better at doing the job it was created to do. Knock yourself out. The K5 encourages the mad scientist in every gearhead because GM is still making legacy parts for this thing. And when we get all horny about legacy parts, it's that, they've been making wheel bearings and brake discs and tie rods and all this stuff, and they're all like, nothing's $100. It's all super cheap because when you talk about legacy parts, you're talking about stuff that existed for an entire, fleet vehicles. So you can keep this rather expensive to fuel truck cheap on the road because all the parts are cheap. So far, this truck has logged around 200,000 miles. You see, Dom's dad bought this truck new in 1990, and when he was in the dealer asked if it was going to be Dom's first car, and sure enough, that's what it became. This was Dom's daily driver for school. He drove it to the south side of Chicago long before learning it wasn't exactly safe haven for a truck like this, because gangs in the area used him as rammers. But Dom's truck was clean, so it never got bothered. That is, until the 3 separate occasions it was stolen, all of which happened in a single month. The thieves rolled around in an Oldsmobile Alero, specifically looking for his truck, since they had recognized it from a music video Tom had made with his band. I mean, he's assuming that's why they were looking for his. Anyway, Dom's band is called Private Investigators, but we'll give a plug at the end of this. And the problems didn't end there. Dom had to consistently correct the steering as he never felt fully in control of the vehicle. Ooh, and one of the wheels fell off after a repair job, which likely cost him a friendship since the matter was taken to arbitration by, of all people in the goddamn universe, Judge freaking Judy. Ultimately, the repair shop didn't want to go on the show, so they settled the matter privately. So I guess if a body shop is trying to screw you, just threaten to take them on daytime television. This truck has been through 13 transmissions. I don't feel like pulling out my phone, but that's like a new transmission every 2.5 years or something? That's insane. And it represents far more money than I think anybody would realistically expect to put into this car. I know I was talking about legacy parts before, but now we're talking about gearboxes. But there's something to be said about a person's loyalty to their first car, when that's your name on the title, and you've been at Shepherd through one issue after another, and you think, oh, this can't be it, this can't be the end. Because we're never ready to say goodbye. It's encoded into the very nature of goodbyes. Now the wheels are inbound, so you can drive really close to the side of the road before you feel the tires hit the dirt. And the short wheelbase of these vehicles means that a K5 has, and watch this, the same turning radius as a Mini Cooper. Fuel economy? Don't ask. This must be what it feels like to be a weight room alpha. When I'm driving this, even other trucks give me room. Yeah, you have a fresh F-150, Silverado or Ram, but... that's fake chrome. That's a bumper cover. Those are plastic wheel well splash guards. I like your cylinder deactivation. That because I saw the Ram right there. But it's not just fear. It's friendly respect because K5s are tough in a way modern safety standards no longer allow. This truck will survive the accident. I don't know about its fleshy, mostly water inhabitants, but the K5 will be fine. And it presents itself as a living being with essential needs above those of the owners. Oh, and these double roof hatches can't be rollover compliant either. I think I can make it before this van.
Yeah, you can.
Oh. Nice.
K5, a car for a 65-year-old man who's still jacked. He's on TRT. It has a Ramjet engine swap. So what? Look at him. Look at him. I'll bet he porks no-handed. Young men driving modern trucks looked at me in this K5 and assumed I've put in work that only now exists in country songs or in politicians' talking points. An aged manliness, lost to hyperbole and the myth-making process. And that's what's starting to drive K5 prices up. That which technology cannot make obsolete. A type of significance that cannot be programmed in through an ECU. It's a truck that's more resilient than you'd probably ever expect it to be given its age, and the problems that accumulate like the aches and pains of an active lifestyle. It's big, but it's loose, which sounds like a Your Mom joke from 6th grade recess, but it's true. While it's a bit of a lumbering beast, it's not as sluggish as a mid-90s Suburban. And that's the appeal. When you're in a cabin with this much room for man-spreading, you can just enjoy your coffee, your episode of Rogan, and the open expanse of Interstate 70. So thank you to Dominic, and please check out his band. The band is called Private Investigators. Or is it The Private Investigators? Private Investigators. We're putting the image right here. Thank you. Have a good week.
Put my guitar inside a Chevy Blazer before the show cause I'm the curtain raiser. Don't be jelly cause I still wanna jam with you baby, but we'll do it later. You'll still be up listening to Nikki Glaser, radio about people and their behavior. Oh, never mind, just get in the truck, we'll go and you can call this a party favor. It's a Blazer song for you, all in honor of that KO2, I mean K2. Oh babe, we have to go or I'm going to miss my acoustic show.